Hi guys. I apologize for the animals in the background because they're kind of all over the place already. So hopefully they don't knock anything over. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining. It's been a couple weeks and I'm so sorry between snow and family stuff, and Erin had her baby, which is so exciting. It's been kind of tough for either of us to get something put up. So I apologize, but thank you for joining us again this week. Erin is going to be moving in the next couple of days, but I'm hoping she could at least hop on when things get settled and post her birth story and kind of let everybody know how everything went. So I'll keep you guys posted, but hopefully she'll be able to do that when she gets all settled. So, but tonight I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my postpartum experience last time a little more. I know we kind of did a video that talked a little bit about that, and I kind of wanted to go into a little bit more detail, especially since I am 30 weeks now and kind of getting close to the end. So just kind of wanted to talk a little bit more in detail and what I'm kind of hoping for this time, what I'm hoping to do differently, what I'm hoping to do to try and anticipate possible problems that I just really wasn't expecting last time. So to kind of dive into things a little bit, I kind of first just kind of want to preface things with I do deal with anxiety and OCD just in normal everyday life, and so typically it's manageable. My OCD especially kind of shows itself in kind of the way I experience it is a lot of kind of more ritualistic-y kind of things. So I'm the kind of person that's like, I've got to go touch the doorknob, several times to make sure it's actually locked, stuff like that. And it really kind of reached its height in about high school. And once I kind of really figured out what it was, kind of was able to tell myself, when it's not convenient, like, hey, you don't need to check the door 5 times. It's fine. You checked it. It's good. Move on. So I've really dealt with it without any issues since that time. And then in terms of, postpartum depression and stuff like that, I kind of went into it with the understanding that, you kind of hear things like, oh, if you suffer from this, or this, you're at a higher risk. And so I kind of, for some reason, I'm kind of like, okay, I have anxiety already, so I just need to watch out for depression. And it's not really always the case. So just really wasn't putting much stock into the possibility of having too much of a problem. So went in, I kind of talked about my birth story a little bit. Was already kind of having troubles. OCD is a lot about having control of the situation, and obviously there's very little that you can control in labor and delivery. So kind of went into it, kind of heard one thing from one of the nurses at my provider's office about, it's so silly. It was, she said, yeah, just eat dinner normally and then go check into the hospital. And then that afternoon, talking to the nurse at the hospital, she's like, oh, don't eat before you come in. We'll get you started with the induction. And if everything's going okay, you can eat later. And so just kind of that, like, somebody changing the plans on me already kind of set me off. So really already kind of went into it feeling like I had lost control, and that didn't set me up very well. So post-birth just was very out of it, just very mentally checked out for quite some time. And one of the other problems that I had was that I went on a medication called Reglan for breastfeeding because I had low milk supply, and felt very overwhelmed and felt symptoms that I really associated with depression. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. Here's the depression. super overwhelmed, the crying all the time, the just, counting down the minutes. My husband was back at work at that point and just counting down the minutes till he would be home, crying on the phone to my mom and just so overwhelmed. That lasted about a week, and by the time I finally put it together and read online that symptoms of the medication were depression, at that point it had kind of evened out a little bit. So, but was really having a hard time with anxiety, and then I was having troubles with postpartum OCD, which I didn't even recognize as OCD because it was so different from how I typically experience OCD. Instead of, ritualistic, take a certain route or something bad is going to happen kind of things, it was more like obsessive bad thoughts, and especially at night. And they were really nothing specific. It was just really, and I don't want to kind of go into specifics because I know people that do have negative obsessive thoughts can kind of get triggered by hearing other people's negative obsessive thoughts. They were really just about like bad things that could happen to my family. It wasn't like anything that I would be self-inflicting or to myself or to anybody else, but just like the list of all of the terrible things, tragic things that could possibly happen to a family. And the way I kind of described it to my husband was kind of like, okay, at night when I'm going to sleep, it's kind of like I have a channel changer and I'm flipping the channels on a TV, and you'll kind of lay there and you go, okay, dinner was really good tonight. Okay, I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to think about what I'm going to have for breakfast. And then you kind of flip the channel and you move on. And then you kind of go, oh, did I remember that thing at work? And then you kind of try to talk your mind out of it and go, okay, well, there's nothing you can do about it now. Just check on it first thing in the morning. And then you kind of flip the channel, and then you're remembering, that vacation you took and being on the beach, and then your mind kind of shuts down and you go to sleep. And that's how my brain typically works. When I was having issues, it was kind of like I would be flipping through the channels, and then I would think of something really awful happening, and then the channel just wouldn't flip anymore. And so I'm just kind of stuck thinking of that thing. And, obviously your brain can't shut down because it's just such an awful thing. So, I was not getting to sleep very easily. And then of course you've got an infant in the mix that's needing to feed all night long. And so I probably for well over 6 months, I was maybe getting 2 hours of sleep a night, which didn't, it just was making working it just nearly impossible. I just could hardly get through the days because I just wasn't sleeping at all at night. And during the day, I was typically distracted enough that the obsessive thoughts were pretty minimal during the day. After a few months, and I would just lay awake at night, and it was like my flight reflex was just triggered so heavily that I just I couldn't sit still. And funny enough, I really just kind of, since I was having a little bit of that before I was taking that medication and a little bit afterwards, I really didn't attribute much of it to that. Ironically, now that's something that they prescribe for morning sickness, and so they kind of tried to put me on that for a while. I lasted 2 days, and it literally feels like your skeleton wants to jump out of your body. And so it was crazy to me to just be thrown back into that because of this medication. So I'm really, really hoping that by avoiding that medication forever, I can maybe lessen any extreme issues postpartum. So that's kind of our first plan of attack. The second thing is really just I want on this end to kind of set up how people can help me afterwards, because I was so checked out afterwards. My mom would come over a ton, and she would be over most weekdays postpartum but she was just kind of, you know, I wanted her. She would ask, is there anything I could do? And I would just be like, I just want company and somebody to distract me and keep me together. And, but kind of come up with maybe more of a plan of attack to just kind of get things done, you know, have her kind of come in and say, okay, well, we'll sit together and, you know, I'll make sure that, you know, you have company and you get that taken care of, but, you know, maybe you should go take a shower first. Have you eaten? I'll come with you into the kitchen. We can still chat. I can still kind of try to keep you out of your head. So trying to kind of come up with as much of that as I can on this end. So I kind of can, people that are around me and are helping me postpartum kind of know the plan and what I need and how I might try and stand in my own way of getting those needs met, because that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. So those are kind of my two goals, and I'm hoping things go a little bit better just because of the things that I know now that I didn't know then. So those are kind of my big pieces. This is just kind of a brief video. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to get together with Jen, our postpartum doula, and kind of get chat a little bit about her, or with her, and, you know, since she is postpartum doula and she sees so much of this, get kind of her take on things and see what advice she has for me and any of you that might be watching, and hoping for some tips too. So I will keep you guys posted on that, and hopefully we'll get those, find a time to get together and get those posted in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, so, and if there's anything you guys want to see from me, especially as I'm into the last trimester, if there's anything you guys want to see from me, absolutely let me know, and I will definitely get those done for you guys. Or if you just have any quick questions, you can always email or post it in the comments, or get us on Facebook in the comments there, or message. Anything, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. So, but thanks for joining. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks.